this evening we'll be talking about homemade is love, from your kitchen to your infant, your toddler, and beyond. So yes, my name is Mumito Sinojuri. I'm a registered nurse, a registered public health nurse. I have a first degree in nursing and a master's degree in nursing, and obviously my major is public health nursing. Food is actually very important when it comes to the growth and development of children, especially in the first 5 years of life. There's no gainsaying it. There are no two ways about it. What we feed our children impacts their growth and development, into some of the benefits of homemade meals. I think the first thing to talk about is you are in charge. You are in charge of what it is that you are feeding your children, what it is that you are feeding your family. You are the one in charge. It may not be 100%, but at least to the best of your ability, you are in charge. Because what I'm saying, it may not be 100% because you were not the ones who planted some of those things and all of that. But the process of you making it, and all of that, it puts you in charge. We've seen situations whereby people cook for other people and they add all sorts of things. Now we hear that people use paracetamol to cook meat, improves your creativity with food. With time, you are able to try out, new recipes, ways to dish the food in manners that are attractive and all of that. Also, it helps you cook with your child. And of course, cooking with your child improves your bonding. It also instills some survival skills, in the child. You don't want a child that, oh, I can't help myself. I don't know how to boil water. I don't know how to do anything and all of that. We don't want that type of a situation, It also helps you to cook in bulk. Cooking in bulk saves you a whole lot of stress, and I usually will say that it's a lifesaver. It's a game changer, and we will get into right there. Very importantly, it boosts your child's immunity. You don't have to keep running from pillar to post. Oh, my child is sick today. My child is sick tomorrow. The child is having runny nose, is running temperature, and all of that. Homemade meals help you to fortify your child. Why? You are 100% in charge. You know what you are putting inside. You can add some herbs, and spices that are beneficial to the body, not just gives you peace of mind in the process. It also helps you to curb picky eating. We'll get into that. And it could be economical. I'm saying it could be. It's not 100%. It may not. So it's not 100% that, oh, it is economical, Some persons argue that, oh, it's because you don't have money. That's why you don't that's not true. Sometimes homemade meals could even be more expensive than store-bought products. So, yeah. So it helps you to it could be economical. It's not 100% this thing that is the point. And of course, it's good to know that children and adults alike are not naturally born with an aversion for healthy food, fruits, and vegetables. Now, this is what happens. This is what happens most time, that, a child has been introduced to this particular kind of thing that has some additives in it. And then what that does is it goes to it sends a signal to the brain. Okay, so once you taste certain foods that has certain spices, certain ingredients that are addictive, your brain automatically, craves for that. And then an aversion to healthy foods, to fruits, to vegetables begin to happen. So that's just the simple and logic explanation to that. So now, how can I get my child to eat healthy? Well, it's doable, it's achievable, and it is not rocket science. Now, let's start with your infant. So this baby has been born. Infant formula or exclusive breastfeeding for the past 6 months, and then maybe 6 months, we want to introduce solids to this child. So yeah, you've gone to the market, you've bought, maybe you bought a high chair, fancy plates, spoons, cups, and all of that. And then you make your first meal and the child says, I won't take it. Then there's problem. Or you are so enthusiastic, you had such high hopes concerning, by the time, it starts, this is my expectation and all of that. But at the end of the day, reality kicks in. Homeboy does not want to eat what mommy is offering. Or little girl saying, no, I have a mind of my own. You cannot force anything down my throat. So what do you do? At this point, it's very easy to get frustrated, to get angry, to get angry and all of that. But the truth of the matter is that you start gradually. You start from known to unknown. What do I mean by known to unknown? This child is used to infant formula. This child is used to breast milk. So what do? Let's assume that you want to give banana, for example. So you mash the banana and then you add a little bit of breast milk. So that's starting from known to unknown. There's that feel of, okay, there's still breast milk in this thing. And then you serve little quantities at once. You don't want to give a child that you're introducing banana to for the first time, you want to give him the whole banana or 2 bananas at a go and all of that. It may not work. So you start gradually. You start from known to unknown, and then you begin to progress little. And then it takes a lot of patience. It takes a whole lot of patience. Everything about this journey will test your patience. It will test. I've heard mothers who say, I just sat down there and I started crying because the child wasn't taking the food. He wasn't eating. I tried everything. I didn't know what else to do. So I just sat down there and I was crying. So now the baby is frustrated. The mother or father is frustrated. And on top of that, maybe the child is not even adding weight. It's beginning to take its toll on you and all of that. So you start from known to unknown. Actually, what I do is, by the time I am pregnant or planning to get pregnant, I begin to talk to the child that in the name of Jesus, whatever I give you, you eat. You are not a picky eater, because I don't have power to be running up and down or to be frustrated every day because I want to feed you, So things like that, I begin to declare. So the journey actually starts before the child is even here. So, whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that you desire concerning this journey, you begin to declare it over that child and all of that. And now that you are ready, just know that it is a gradual process. There are times that when I'm feeding my baby, we stop midway. It takes a little bit of breast milk. We continue again and all of that. And you don't stop because you introduce something at once. The child didn't take it, and then that's it. Oh, I'm done. I'm not trying to. No, you continue to introduce. You continue to encourage the child, and you continue that process of known to unknown. So you may want the what's it called? The breast milk to be more than maybe the banana. So breast milk to be more than the banana and things like that, and just watch. And then you begin to increase the volume, gradually. And then you shouldn't feed your child with leftover. For example, you fed the child banana, but you didn't finish it. So you kept it, and then you're going to give it to the child maybe 2 hours from now. Because this child's immune system is just developing, and this is still a very tender child, it may cause an infection for the child, because the select thing for you to do is to take a little at a time that the child is going to finish, that you hope that the child is going to finish. Also, you need to manage your expectations. Sometimes you are introducing food to a child for the first time, and then we go and take a full serving spoon. And no, at that stage, one tablespoon is okay for the child, right? Because the bulk of this child's is still breast milk. So it's fine. You know, the child just needs here and there, you know, little things. I'm talking of infants now. Just needs a little here and there, you know, and he or she is fine. Also, that works. Then there are some things to avoid when introducing food to a child that is less than 12 months old. You shouldn't give honey. You should not give salt. Refined sugar is a no-no, you know. All of these things, the child's system is not developed enough to handle those things. And honey especially can be very, very dangerous for the child. I know some older people will tell you that, that's how we have been doing it. Like from this and that. All you these new generation parents, this and that. But the fact that they did it and it worked for them doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. So you need a lot of patience. And then you need to also consistently keep introducing different textures, a wide range of food to this child, different textures, different temperature, and all of that. So yeah, a child is refusing to take something. For example, the very first applesauce I made in my life was a disaster. It was extremely disastrous. Even me, I tasted it, I'm like, what is this? So no, I wasn't surprised that the madam I made it for, that was when my daughter was an infant. I wasn't surprised that she didn't take it from me. But with constant practice, I got better, you know, with making applesauce and all of that. So yeah, it's not rocket science. You will make some mistakes. You should feel free to ask questions, you know, research, do your own research, find what works for you. Some children, when my daughter was an infant, there was a point that if you put her on her high chair, she will eat her food. But if you put her on your laps to feed her, she's not going to take it from you. After a while, it became the other way around. So when it comes to this type of journey, you need to understand that those children, they are the ones in charge. Just be following them. But you need to be firm where you have to be, you know, and things like that. So the process for an infant and all of that, it's actually the same across board, but just a little variations here and there, a little variation here and there. That's what makes it different along the line. So yeah, and infants, they are still, to an extent, they are malleable, you know. You can still try and all of that. But you see those toddlers, oh my God, those ones. Anyways, so yeah, you shouldn't force feed your child, of course, and all of that. If the child says, oh, I don't want, you give some space and then you try again. So that's about that. Now, for your toddler, at this point, these people are more opinionated. They know what they want. They are very unapologetic about it. My daughter will tell you, I don't want. And, you know, so how do you get your child to take homemade meals instead of junks and all of that? There are several ways to it, and it is possible, it is doable. It just depends on how creative we are and how intentional we are about all of these things. So now at this stage, you need to come down to their level and find what works for them. Now, one of the things I do is communicate to my toddler in languages that she understands. Your toddler's attention and all of that. Then you also need to be deliberate about you yourself being a good example. If you can't be saying one thing and then you are doing another thing. Then there's also the place of presentation when it comes to toddlers. For example, I have these popsicle molds. These are popsicle molds. This is a pouch, like a fruit pouch or something. So for example, what I do with this is get my daughter's maybe smoothies and all of that. I put that in here. So this serves as the packaging. And then I remove this top part, because she may not be able to drink from something as strong as this. So this goes right in here, and then she can chew on this and all of that. It's a win-win situation. And for these, since we don't do lollipops and all of that, what I do with this is I make popsicles with fruits. So you blend whatever it is, and then you pour them in here, and you freeze it for over about 6 hours, and then it becomes popsicle. Yellow plate, the one on top, the watermelon and all of that. We have cookie cutters that we tend to use to cut the shapes and all of that. So these things are peculiar to toddlers. They're peculiar to toddlers and all of that. Then why bento plating works is that it gives you the opportunity to put different things, different healthy things on the plate. So even if the child is a natural picky eater, it has the tendency to, the child does not necessarily have to finish everything that is on the plate. And that's where quality and not quantity comes in. It doesn't have to finish everything that is on the plate, but it takes a little from here, a little from there, a little from there. And before you know it, the required nutrients for the day is complete. You don't have to stress yourself over that. But we are always so obsessed with, oh, I need you to finish this food, this and that, and all of that. So on this plate, we have oats, there's milk, there's dates. I actually sweeten with dates. There's a way I make that, and sweeten with dates. Interestingly, for my son, we haven't even been sweetening with anything per se, maybe applesauce or something. And boy has been taking it like that. So here there's banana, there's bread, and this thing. So ordinarily, the child just picks different things, and then eats it. We may play and come back and all of that. But at the end of the day, you discover that this child is eating, and it's okay. It doesn't have to maybe finish everything on the plate, but as long as it's eating and taking the nutrients required, then that's fine. So here, the place that has tea and coconut cookies. These cookies were made with tiger nuts, coconut flour. Then there's also the banana bread was made with bambra nuts. That bambra nut flour is what Igbo people call oppa. So there's someone that used to make the flour. I used to buy it, and then I would use it to make my own snacks at home for the children and all of that, instead of the buying biscuits that is so refined and has a lot of things that I do not know how it works, or I'm really not interested in. Another thing I want to say is that it is important for us to learn how to read labels. I don't think we should be giving anything to children without reading the labels and understanding the ingredients that have been listed in those things. And honestly, I thought, it's important for you to have a feeding routine. What a feeding routine does is that, so our bodies tend to thrive on routine, and we are programmed in certain ways. For example, if you wake up at 5:30 every day, after a while, you wouldn't need an alarm clock to wake you up at 5:30. So this is how it works. So you have a routine. Your children eat at, let's say, 6:30 p.m. every day. It is very natural that by 6:30 p.m. you can predict that your child will be hungry. Now that's a win-win situation for you. Why? When you give anything to that child, he or she is bound to take it, because the child is already hungry anyway. And so that's one thing that routine does, is psychological. Then it's also important for you to introduce a wide range of foods, not just limited to one thing, a wide range of food. It's also important for you to eat together as a family. It encourages them, it encourages the children, even if you have a picky eater. That's why our mothers those days, they usually devised this means. They will serve children food together, and then they begin to fight for the food. Even the child that normally would not have eaten, we join them to fight for the food, and that's very, very commendable. You should be patient and persistent. You should not just give up halfway that, oh, see, I can't stress myself. normally research has it that you will introduce a particular food to a child 21 times before that child gets accustomed to the taste. So it could be frustrating, but you will just need to be patient. You need to be persistent. Then you need to keep talking to and encouraging the child. Just keep talking to the child and encouraging the child. You know, I tell my children, oh, it's good for boys. It's good for boys. It will help you grow strong. You need to eat it. Tell my daughter, it's good for girls. It will help you develop and all of that. And somehow it's beginning to sink into our subconscious, and she'll be like, oh, okay, it's good for girls. Yes, it's good for girls. It's good for boys. You will be fine. It's also important that you start early. You start early. That's important. And by early, from 6 months, that's when you start. And at 6 months, typically your child can eat whatever it is that you are eating. It's just the form with which you make it that is different. And another thing is that for me, my own goal by 12 months, at age 1, my children eat the same thing that we are eating, because I don't think I'm interested in cooking a different set of meals for children for the rest of my life or for extended periods of time. So yeah, anything we are eating from 12 months, the child begins to eat that. I already mentioned about you starting from known to the unknown, which makes sense logically anyway. It should also be a good example. I find myself even hiding snacks, very bad snacks in this house. I keep changing the position from one place to the other. I just keep changing the position because she keeps finding out all those things, and you don't want her to have them so that she doesn't, become hooked on them and all of that. But we will be doing it one step at a time. Yeah, very important. You should be deliberate and determined. One of my friends was like, when I had my daughter and I started with this, we are not going to do junks and all of that she thought that I was joking, that you will not be able to, you won't be able to do it and all of that. But she's really surprised that even up till now, because into the end of the day. So yes, let's talk more about meal prep, meal planning. Meal prep is a lifesaver. So now people tend to say, oh, okay, so how do you feed your family with home cooked meals? You'll be spending a lot of time in the kitchen, blah, 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 and this and that. It's not entirely true. So this is what happens. You know that, oh, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to cook maybe vegetable soup. I want to cook okra. I want to cook this. I want to cook that. So maybe you have one weekend that you have chosen to do this. So what is advised is that you make this food in bulk and then you store it in the freezer. Now, depending on your family size, depending on light, electricity, your electricity condition, those are the things that will determine how much you can actually accommodate per time. So what you really need to do is, when you make this food, you need to portion them in, let's say, bowls that you know that you can use one time. What I mean is, if it is 5 liters maybe if it is a 5-liter bowl that we feed your family once, that is what you should do. So first of all, you let the food cool down completely. You don't want to put hot food or whatever inside the freezer. Those are the things that makes the food go bad. And at the end of the day, people say, oh, I don't eat food from freezer. It's usually stale, this and that. If you know how to handle it, that's not the case. Most times I do my meal prep for the next 2 weeks so that I don't have to cook from scratch all the time and all of that. So yeah, you make your food, you let it cool down so well, and then you portion it in such a way that it is one-time use. It is for one-time use, because you don't want to bring out the food from the freezer. You have warmed it, then you return it into the freezer, and then you bring it out again. At the end of the day, it loses its flavor, its freshness, and all of that. But if done right, meal prep is a lifesaver. You can even go as far as dicing your veggies, your carrots, and all of those things. You have them chopped and stored in the freezer. And when you need it, you bring it out, you let it thaw, and you use them. For example, the soup, for example, if I know that, let's say tomorrow evening or thereabouts, I'm going to make, let's say tomorrow afternoon, we're eating pounded yam with vegetable soup, and I have a vegetable soup in the freezer. So what I do is this night, I will bring it out from the freezer and put it in the fridge overnight. So it begins to, to thaw, to defrost and all of that. And by the time I'm ready to use it, it is still in perfect condition. So yes, it's also important. You may want to cultivate a small garden if you can. That way you are actually really in charge of what it is that you are doing. We traveled some time ago, and we went visiting my parents and my parents' in-laws, and we had access to homegrown avocado. Even that's from my father-in-law. We're plucking avocados, plucking guavas, and all of that. And it was a beautiful experience. The children had very fresh from the farm, like that, just in the compound. And then my mom has this what's it called now? Flower pots. In fact, our own is not even modernized flower pots. She used containers that she just put soil, and then she planted pepper there. Pepper, there's tomato. We have we got, what's it called, ewedu, and all of that. And I wanted to make food for the children, and you just go there, you just pluck it. The scent leaf, there are gingers and all of that, and it's a beautiful life. It's something that one ought to try. So now you can have flower pots, put some soil in it, grow one or two things. Especially these are options that one may want to explore. Yes, respect the child's appetite and preferences. Just like I said earlier, that if you know that it's not as if this child is just being a picky eater. If the child just does not like egg, let it rest. Egg is not the only source of protein. So there's no point forcing it or shoving it down the child's throat that, oh, you must take it. Hey, I'm your mother. It is anything I give you that you must. You know how they used to fight us when we were growing up? Hey, you must rest. It is not. I told you before, I don't take tea. Nothing in this life, or if that can make me take tea. But what my mother did that I really appreciate her for is that she allowed me to. So I will mix Milo and milk, and I'll be eating it raw like that. So you will not drink tea. It should be your own, is that we should not put water. No problem. This is your own portion. You can do whatever you like with it. So sometimes I make it into chocolate and all of that. And I take it like that. And up till now, even at this my big age, I still do it, but I don't drink tea, and stuff like that. So it's a win-win situation. There are some battles that you don't need to fight. Leave it. Let it rest. It's also important that you let your parenting partners, that's maybe grandparents, nannies, and all of that, and anyone who has access to your child, aware of your preferences. So yes, everybody in my space knows that you cannot give a children things like this and all of that, even though my children still have some coconut-headed aunties that will go behind my back and go and be putting some things in their mouth and later come and tell me that, no, it's just a little here and there, and that's okay, because honestly, you cannot take it 100% away from them, especially when they become opinionated and they have their own minds and all of that. So yeah, this was how we started. This is how it is going, and I think we have even passed this level safe to fuller plates. So this is pap. This pap was homemade. Then I added some bananas because I didn't put dates, and it was served. And then the child graduates from this to more stable family homemade food, and then like that and like that. So these are also more examples of different foods, fruits, and all of that.